Alex shouted angrily at his wife, "Stop complaining every time I touch you. I didn't create myself with a small manhood, so why do you always make me feel bad about it?" His wife, just as angry, fired back, "Don't you dare shout at me like that. This is your fault, and you better not raise your voice at me again." Alex, a young and handsome man in his late 30s. He was rich, drove expensive cars, lived in a big house, and wore designer clothes. On the outside, he looked like a man who had everything. But deep inside, there was something that always bothered him, something that made him feel incomplete and less like a man. It was his manhood. Alex had a small manhood. No matter how rich or attractive he was, that one thing made him feel ashamed. Whenever he was with a woman, he always felt nervous. He knew what was coming, the disappointment, the awkward silence, or even worse, the laughter. Some women mocked him to his face. Others stayed, not because they loved him, but because of his money. They lived in comfort and luxury, but they went outside the relationship to find sexual satisfaction. This broke Alex's heart. He felt used, like no one truly loved him for who he was. No matter how hard he tried to be a good man, his small manhood was the one thing he couldn't fix. And every time he faced rejection or fake love, it reminded him that something was missing. Alex felt so bad about his small manhood. Sometimes, he would wake up in the middle of the night and cry bitterly. He would ask himself, "Will any woman ever accept me the way I am?" Then he would think about his life. He had money and everything it takes to be a man, but still, he felt worthless because of his small manhood. No matter how successful he was, this one thing made him feel like less of a man. It hurt him deeply. He wanted to be confident and happy, but the thoughts wouldn't leave him. Every night, when the world was quiet, the sadness came back stronger. He felt alone, broken, and afraid that no one would ever truly love him for who he was. Alex's life was going well. His friends and business partner were all settling down, one after the other. It seemed like every month there was a wedding or a traditional marriage ceremony to attend. Desmond, his best friend and business partner, had just gotten married too. He was over the moon with joy and would often tease Alex about being the last man standing. "Bro, you've got money, a house, cars. What are you waiting for?" Desmond would say with a wide smile. "You're not getting younger, you need to marry and start training your kids now that you have strength and time." Alex would always smile in return and say, "Desmond, you won't understand. I'm still waiting for the right one. My perfect match." Desmond would burst into laughter and shake his head. "Perfect match? You think she'll fall from heaven? I will personally put you in my prayer list, so God will send her down quickly." They would both laugh it off and move on to other topics, but behind Alex's smile was a truth he had never told anyone, not even Desmond. It wasn't that he didn't want to marry. It wasn't that he hadn't met good women. The truth was deeper, and more painful, so each time someone joked or asked, "When are you getting married?" Alex would smile. But inside, it was not funny at all. It was a quiet pain he carried alone. Little did Desmond and the others know, the strong, successful man they looked up to was fighting a silent battle. One day, Alex was shopping in a supermarket. He was walking through the fruit section when he saw a beautiful lady. She had a lovely smile and kind eyes. Her name was Jacinta. Alex smiled at her and said, "Hi." Jacinta smiled back and said, "Hello." They started talking. The conversation was nice and easy. They laughed and enjoyed chatting. Before they left the supermarket, Alex asked for her phone number. Jacinta gave it to him with a smile. That evening, Alex called her. They talked for a while, and then he asked, "Would you like to go out on a date with me?" Jacinta said, "Yes, I would like that." They went out on a lovely date. They had dinner at a nice restaurant and talked about many things. They laughed a lot and had a good time. After the date, Alex asked her if she would like to come to his house to relax and spend the night. Jacinta agreed, so they went to Alex's house. They watched a movie and talked some more. Later that night, Alex tried to make love to her. But Jacinta gently stopped him. She looked at him and said, "Alex, I like you. But if you really want to be with me, it must be after marriage. I want to wait until I am married before doing this." Alex was surprised, but he respected her. He looked at her and said, "Okay, I understand. Thank you for being honest with me." They spent the rest of the night talking, and Alex began to see that Jacinta may be someone different. The next day, Alex sat alone in his backyard. The sun was just beginning to rise, and the morning breeze was soft and cool. Lost in thought, and began talking to himself. "Maybe Jacinta is still a virgin," he said quietly. "Maybe that's why she didn't want me to touch her." A small smile formed on his face as he looked up at the sky. "Thank you, God," he whispered. "She's still pure. She won't be able to compare my manhood to anyone else's. She won't know which one is big or small." He laughed a little, shaking his head at his own thoughts. Then his smile grew wider, more serious. "God has sent her to me. She's the one. My missing rib." He stood up slowly, his heart beating with excitement. "I'm going to propose to her," he said with confidence. "I'm going to marry Jacinta." 2 months later and they are still dating, but during all that time, Jacinta never allowed Alex to touch her in any romantic way. At first, Alex didn't understand. He tried to hold her, kiss her, or get closer, but Jacinta always stopped him gently. She would smile and say, "I'm not that kind of girl. I'm saving myself for marriage." At first, Alex thought she was just pretending. But as time passed, he began to see that she was serious. She didn't flirt with other men, she didn't dress to get attention, and she prayed often. Slowly, Alex started to believe that she was truly a devoted Christian or maybe a virgin. One day, Alex told her, "You know, I used to think women love sex more than anything. But you've proved me wrong." Jacinta just smiled, and Alex looked at her with new respect. Then, to her surprise, Alex went down on one knee and proposed to her. "Will you marry me, Jacinta?" he asked with a big smile. Jacinta was so happy. Her eyes filled with joy. "Yes. Yes, I will," she said, hugging him tightly. Not long after the proposal, Jacinta and Alex got married. It was a beautiful day, full of happiness and celebration. Everyone danced, smiled, and wished them well. But deep inside, both Jacinta and Alex were thinking about one thing: their wedding night. Jacinta was excited. She had pretended so long, and now she was finally ready to give herself to her husband. She expected the night to be romantic and full of passion. Alex, too, was eager. He had waited patiently, believing Jacinta was a virgin. He was looking forward to the special wedding night gift she promised. Later that night, they entered their bedroom. It was quiet, calm, and filled with the scent of flowers. The lights were off, and their hearts were racing. Slowly, they undressed, smiled at each other, and got into bed. They began to make love for the first time, but not long after they started, Alex noticed something strange. He paused for a moment, then he looked at Jacinta with a confused face. "There's no blood," he whispered to himself. "And she doesn't feel like a virgin." He didn't say anything out loud at first. But after a moment, he sat up and looked at her. Jacinta. She looked at him, breathing heavily. What is it? Are you really a virgin? He asked gently, but with a serious look. Jacinta looked at Alex, her face serious, and asked again, is your manhood really that small? Because I can't even feel anything inside me. Alex's eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. Wait. Are you serious right now? He asked, almost whispering. Jacinta didn't back down. She crossed her arms and said firmly, you haven't answered my question. Alex was stunned. He stared at her, still trying to process what she had said. I even thought you were still a virgin, he said, frustration building in his voice, because you always refused to let me touch you. But now this? Jacinta ignored his words. She asked again, slower this time, so, is it really that small? Then, without waiting for his reply, she stood up and turned on the light. The room lit up instantly. Jacinta turned back to look at him, and what she saw made her freeze. She couldn't say a word. Her mouth opened slightly in shock. What she saw in front of her was nothing like what she expected. Jacinta shouted, "Oh God, what have I done to myself? I thought I was smart." She sat on the edge of the bed, holding her head in her hands. Which woman in her right senses would ever agree to be with a man who has such a small manhood? She shouted, full of regret and anger. Alex stood there, frozen, his heart pounding with shame. He had never felt so humiliated in his life. Without saying a word, he quickly grabbed his clothes and ran out of the bedroom. His face was red, and tears filled his eyes. He didn't look back. Jacinta watched him leave and sighed deeply. Why didn't I listen to my instincts? Meanwhile, Alex sat alone in his car, staring at the steering wheel. His hands were shaking. Why did I even try to marry? He muttered to himself. He felt broken inside, more by her harsh words than anything else. He thought she wouldn't notice it. But now he knew, things would never be the same again. Alex sat alone in the dark sitting room. His heart felt heavy. He still couldn't understand why Jacinta had been pretending all this time. She had acted so innocent, so shy, like she had never been touched by any man before. But this night told a different story. He had waited for their wedding night with so much hope. He believed it would be magical. But what happened between them left him confused and broken. Why did she act like she was still a virgin? Why the lies? Meanwhile, Jacinta sat in the bedroom, her eyes fixed on the wall but not really seeing it. Her heart was also full of questions. She had married a rich, young, and handsome man. On the outside, Alex looked perfect. But this night was a shock. She never imagined he would have such a small manhood. She had tried to hide her disappointment, but deep inside, she was angry, even sad. How could she enjoy their wedding night like that? How could this be her reality now? Both of them were in different rooms, full of silence, shame, and regret. They were married, yes, but already, a wall had begun to grow between them, and the saddest part? Neither of them knew how to say what they truly felt. After some months of marriage, Alex and Jacinta began to have serious problems. The main issue was sex. Jacinta often complained to Alex that she didn't feel anything each time they made love. She said she didn't enjoy it and that it felt empty to her. Alex, on the other hand, felt hurt and frustrated. He would remind her how she made him believe she may be a virgin before they got married. He felt deceived and used. These arguments became a routine. Almost every night, their love started to fade, and they grew distant, One night, while Alex was fast asleep, Jacinta sat up in bed, unable to hold it in any longer. She quietly woke him up. "Alex," she said softly, but with tears in her eyes. "I can't do this anymore. I've tried, but I'm not happy. I don't feel satisfied with you. I feel like I'm dying inside, pretending everything is fine." Alex sat up, shocked and speechless. Jacinta continued, "I love sex more than any other thing, it's everything to me. We argue all the time because of it. There's no peace. I need to feel loved and alive, but I don't. I think it's time to end this marriage." Silence filled the room. Alex's heart sank. He never imagined it would come to this. Alex looked at his wife, Jacinta, and asked her calmly, "Why did you never let me touch you when we were still dating?" Jacinta looked into his eyes for a moment, then took a deep breath. "Alex," she said, "so many men have used me and left me once they slept with me. I got tired of being hurt. So I decided to act like I was different, like I was righteous and pure. I wanted to protect myself." Alex was quiet for a moment, then said softly, "I thought you were a virgin. That's why I married you quickly. I believed you were a virgin and hadn't done anything with any man. That you may not know which manhood is big or small." Jacinta gave a bitter smile. "I was never a virgin, Alex," she said. "I just acted like one because I didn't want to be hurt again. But now I can't keep living a lie." Alex's heart sank. "So what now?" he asked, his voice shaking. Jacinta stood up and looked him straight in the eye. "First thing tomorrow morning, I'm leaving this marriage." Alex rushed to her side, holding her hands. "Please, Jacinta, don't go. We can work this out. I love you." But Jacinta shook her head. "I'm sorry, Alex. I can't do this anymore. I love sex more than anything else in life. And I can't pretend to be someone I'm not. This marriage is over." She turned and walked away, leaving Alex in silence, his heart broken, his world turned upside down. The next day, Jacinta packed her bags and left. She didn't say much. She just walked out quietly, leaving the house cold and empty. He sat alone in the sitting room, staring at the TV, but he wasn't really watching. His heart was heavy. After a while, he broke down in tears. He covered his face with his hands and cried like a child. "God," he whispered, "why did you create my life this way? Why does love always bring me pain?" He sat there for a long time, feeling lost and broken. Then, suddenly, he stood up angrily. He looked around the empty room and said to himself, "Enough is enough. I will never marry again. All women love sex more than anything in this life." From that day on, he chose to live alone. No more love. No more heartbreak. Just silence and peace. But one day, something happened that changed his life forever. One day, a beautiful young lady came to Alex's house looking for a job. She gently knocked on the door, and when Alex opened it, she smiled and said, "Good afternoon, sir. Please, I am looking for a job. I can work as a housemaid." Alex looked at her with surprise and said, "I'm sorry, but I don't usually employ workers in my house, especially female ones." The young lady's smile faded. She looked down and softly said, "Please, sir. I really need this job. I promise I will work hard and not cause any trouble. Please help me." Alex was a kind-hearted man. He looked at her again and saw the worry in her eyes. After a short pause, he nodded and said, "All right. You can work here. Thank you. Sir. Thank you so much. The young lady said with joy in her eyes, "What's your name?" Alex asked. "My name is Alice," she replied, and Alice started working in Alex's house as a housemaid. She cleaned the house, cooked, and helped with other chores. She was quiet, respectful, and hardworking. Little by little, the house felt warmer with her around. Alice kept working for Alex for 6 months. She did her work well and never gave him any reason to complain. One evening, after cleaning the house, she sat quietly in the sitting room. She looked around and sighed, then a thought came to her mind. "Since I started working here," she said to herself, "I have never seen my boss with any woman." She wondered more and asked herself, is he really a man? Or is he just keeping them away from his house? She looked around again, hoping to find a clue, but there was nothing. No pictures, no phone calls, no visits, nothing at all. There were no answers to her questions. After thinking for a while, she shook her head slowly and said, "Maybe he doesn't want to have anything to do with ladies of nowadays." Then she stood up, picked up the broom, and continued with her work, but the question stayed in her mind. One day, Alice was cleaning Alex's bedroom like she always did. As she dusted the top of his wardrobe, something fell down. It was a photo frame. She picked it up and looked at it. Her eyes opened wide in shock. It was a wedding picture. In the photo, she saw Alex standing beside a very pretty woman. They were both smiling, dressed in a beautiful wedding gown and suit. Alice held the picture close and asked herself, has he been married before? Did they divorce? Or is she dead or something? Many thoughts filled her mind, but no answer came. She kept looking at the picture, confused. She sat on the edge of the bed, still holding the frame, and said quietly, "I really don't understand. He has never said anything about this." After thinking for a while, she made up her mind. "I will ask him when he comes back from work," she said. She gently placed the photo back where she found it and continued cleaning, but her heart was full of questions. As soon as Alex came back from work, Alice quickly ran to his room. She held the picture tightly in her hand and showed it to him. "Sir," she said, looking serious, "is she dead? Or did she divorce you?" Alex looked at the picture and smiled gently. "It's a long story," he said. "She's not dead. She's alive and perfectly fine." Alice frowned a little and said, then cut the story short. "If you still love her, maybe I can help you bring her back." Alex looked at Alice, surprised but touched. "You would do that?" "Yes," Alice said. "But only if you really love her." Alex cleared his throat and sat down. "I'll tell you everything," he said. "I didn't leave her, she left me. She said she couldn't live with a man like me. Because of my small manhood." Alice's eyes widened, and she looked at him with pity. "Is your manhood really that small? Small enough for her to leave a good man like you?" Alex nodded slowly. "Yes. That's the reason she gave. It broke me." For a moment, there was silence. Then Alice spoke in a soft, serious voice, "Can I have a test of your manhood? I mean, can we have sex?" Alex's eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. Alice came closer to Alex and said, "Don't be shy, I'm serious. Let me test it, maybe I can help you." Alex was speechless. He didn't know what to say. But after a moment, he slowly nodded. Soon, they both lay on the bed and had sex together. Afterward, Alice looked at him and smiled. It's really small, she said honestly, but I think there's medicine that can help it grow a little. Alex sat up, looking more serious now. Where is the medicine sold? He asked quickly. Alice replied, you really need to see a doctor first. He'll give you the right medicine. Finally, Alex agreed to see a doctor. After the visit and following the doctor's prescription, he began taking the medicine. Not long after, his manhood started to grow. Alex was so happy about it that he shared the good news with Alice. One day, Alice packed her clothes and told Alex, I'm leaving. I don't want to stay anymore. Alex was shocked. Why? He asked. What happened? It's nothing, Alice replied. I just want to go. Alex looked at her with sad eyes. Please, don't do this. I know there's a reason. Tell me the truth. Alice took a deep breath and finally spoke. You're okay now. Your problem is gone. I don't think I should stay any longer. Because I might end up wanting to sleep with you again. And I don't think you love me. Alex smiled softly, walked closer to her, and said, You don't need to go, Alice. Do you even know what you've done for me? I can't just sit and allow you to leave like that. In fact, I've been planning on how to make you my wife. He stepped closer and continued, so many women left me because of my small manhood. Some even took my money and disappeared. But you cared. You brought a solution to my problem. You gave me an idea that no woman has ever given me. Alex moved even closer and looked into her eyes. I love you, Alice. Even though you're a house help, I love you for who you are. And I believe you love me too. If not, you wouldn't have helped me the way you did. Alice smiled warmly and said, Yes, I love you too. Then they hugged each other tightly, both feeling happy and full of love. Finally, Alex and Alice got married. Their wedding was beautiful, and their wedding night was full of love and joy. They enjoyed each other fully, making love with happiness and excitement. Not long after, Alice conceived. She became pregnant, and both of them were filled with joy. One day, Alex sat beside her, gently rubbing her growing stomach. He looked at her with love and said, I thought no woman would ever accept to love me because of my small manhood. But you did. You even helped me make it bigger. Thank you, my love, my world. I will forever love you. Alice looked into his eyes and smiled deeply, her heart full of love and peace.